Good morning, I'm Tim Bradner. Welcome to the University of Alaska Fairbanks, Governor Bill Walker's conference on a sustainable future. I'm with Mark Myers, Commissioner of Natural Resources, who's here at the conference also. Mark, it's been a difficult session for all state agencies, including your agency, the Department of Natural Resources. How have you guys dealt this spring with the budget cutbacks so far, and what happens if we have to do another round of these things?
Well, first of all, Tim, thanks for the question. We're working hard to minimize the effects, and early on we dealt with the cuts in terms of administrative efficiencies. We're combining two divisions together. For example, the pipeline coordinator's office is being brought into oil and gas and for administrative efficiencies. We've looked at lowering operating expenses where we can. We have looked then to keep key state services intact to the best we can, and that includes the revenue generation from oil and gas, et cetera, and other resources as a primary goal. The second is firefighting. We try to keep firefighting as whole as we can because we know that early prevention and mitigation of fire saves a lot of money and lives and safety. So public safety issues are earthquake and volcano missions, keeping those intact. So public safety, revenue generation directly back to the state. So the cuts are really focusing on those areas that are very valued by the public, like forestry, forest management, and the forest industry, agriculture were hit pretty hard. We also took cuts out of programs that have longer term impacts rather than short term revenue impacts. So we cut back on some, and this was a bit controversial, but some of the capacities to deal with federal overreach. We're trying to manage those through different processes, and then also shifting and combining groups that worked on that. So water adjudication, water rights, with respect to navigability with the federal government is being cut back significantly but not eliminated. And so that's sort of a combination, and then lots of ones and twos where we can do it. Obviously, you don't fill vacancies, you don't rehire and replace people. So that combination this year. Next year, if we have to cut, we either have to remove, we did an analysis of the level of cuts that we had, we either have to remove whole functions such as agriculture or forestry, or we have to really start slowing down our permitting processes. Again, we've tried to keep permitting intact because that generates the activities which generate the revenue and the jobs in the state, but we're going to be forced into that situation. We also did limit and close supervision in state parks and other things, but we wanted to keep the parks open so that the tourism industry is healthy and people, Alaskans, have their recreational experience. So again, we didn't do any Washington Monument, we got serious, but next year we'll have to eliminate significant programs. And the challenge for DNR is most of what we have generates revenue for the state. It generates the state economy because we're managing 160 million acres of state land.
Yeah. Well, it's not a pretty picture, and hopefully some ideas will come out of this conference to help manage the transition.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things folks can think about is cuts do one thing, but cuts eliminate revenue because of the state's land is where the activities come from, state's lands and state's waters. So we have to be very careful in making these cuts that we don't save a penny and cost ourselves $1.
Yeah. Well, Mark, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Tim. Thank you.
Take care.